Thank you so much for being here, Morgana. So I guess we'll just start the conversation because I want to be respectful of your time. And I know, we had some technical difficulties and all, but
It
welcome.
happens. It
Yeah,
happens.
hey, it happens, right? But welcome to my channel. I'm excited to have you. So I want to start off with this. So we were going to entitle this video, How to Get Him to Do Whatever You Want. But that was just going to be a play on words, really, because so I want to backtrack. I want to go back to actually how I learned about you.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so let's start there. So, we're going to talk about in this video, we're going to talk about feminine energy. We're going to talk about manifestation and how to personify the masculine to help us with manifestation.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how I learned about you. Now, when I was starting to get into feminine energy and kind of like learning about it, I saw you on an interview with Candace Onita. Do you remember that? It was a years ago. It was years ago. And she has a channel that she talks about feminine energy and she really goes in depth about it. And I was just learning about it. And you were on there and you were talking about your money, honey, and personifying money, which I had never heard about. And so it didn't make sense to me at the time. So again, I was just learning about feminine energy and I was going in depth and everything. And then, I've been cultivating feminine energy in my life and using it to manifest and creating a beautiful life. I consider a beautiful life. And I you came across another interview recently, and I don't remember what her name was. And you were talking about your money, honey, and personifying money. And that's when it clicked. And sometimes it's like you get introduced to things and like they say like when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. I guess I wasn't ready at the time. And then it clicked for me. And then something in my life triggered some stuff. And so I started to look at the masculine energy that's within me. And I was like, what if I personified that?
Mm.
Because one of the interviews you also did, you talked about it's really, you talk about money and financial alchemy, which is your book, but it really is essentially your relationship with life,
Yes.
right?
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's what really kind of changed the game for me. I'm like, because I don't know, I don't know why it never clicked, but like personifying it. And I think as women, um, we we can see things in that way because it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And I want to say this too. I think with the law of attraction and manifestation community, like it's very heady. It's very in our head, and and there's a lot of masculine energy approaches to it. And when I made that connection with you and you were talking about love and
Mm.
relationship with life, that's when everything changed for me. And I started just looking at life just completely different. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's
Yeah.
great to hear you share that.
Yeah. So that's where what I wanted to talk about is like I'm curious about you and like, I think that you're like I just adore you. I think you're like the epitome of like feminine energy and this like goddess thing and I just like love looking at you and how you are just like how you carry yourself and everything. And so I think for a lot of women, and this is why I really wanted you on my channel, is that I think that that might be that missing link, that connection that a lot of us are missing.
I don't know that any woman or woman identifying human being is lacking femininity, but I do believe that we live in a system that shames things that are female. And we're told that to be a woman is in this really teeny tiny little channel of behavior or way of being. And we get, I think, clobbered when we step out of a very narrow definition, like to, in the most extreme sense, we only have value if we make babies or somebody wants to sleep with us. And that's not being a human being. that is being some kind of service animal. So as women, and especially as you're talking about things that we identify as masculine, but there are goddesses throughout history that embody war and strategy and ambition and wisdom and every aspect of us. So I first want to just invite you to own and celebrate who you already are. And you don't have anything to prove to anybody to be feminine and divine and juicy and goddessy and powerful too. And I think a lot of the pain and the posturing, and oh my gosh, I'm so guilty of that too. Like growing up as a little girl on planet Earth, trying to figure out what the rules are to be liked and pretty and loved, most of all loved, it's crazy making. And we spend money and we harm our bodies and we hurt our own souls trying to figure it out. So I think, you know, one of the greatest gifts of just being on the planet a long time and getting older is there comes a moment where you realize I only have so much time on earth and I don't really want to waste it anymore on people who don't love me and people who don't respect me. And I just really want to focus on quality of life experience and relationship. And what do I want to do with the time I have left? And that was a turning point for me. Because I was very slow to meet my human honey. I was hooked by my very first Disney movie. I have been a Disney princess in aspiration since I was a toddler, since I chased Brian Patterson under the piano on his 5th birthday, and he was the older man. I was like,
You love the older men.
Yeah. I went on that journey for a while too. My husband is my age, which is super nice because we can share all the same cultural landmarks
Yeah.
of having, been children at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do with the money, honestly, at the end of the day, I had to make money a cute guy who loves me, an imaginary cute guy. I didn't find a cute guy who would be my money honey or my sugar daddy, because honestly, I think that the cost is too high to seek salvation from anybody else. But I had to imagine money was somebody worthy of love and safe and loving me, just so I could have it in my life. And because you've watched me talk before, you know the whole story of uncovering the monster that was there, that I was protecting myself, the reasons I didn't have money or I was pushing it away. And I dealt with that first. And when that's gone, all that remains is love. And then we call that love whatever we need to bring more love to. So in my case, Money was the area of life that really, really needed my love and healing. I've been coaching clients on money. I've been coaching clients on love. I've been coaching clients on health because that's the area of life that needs their love and healing. And it's really interesting when miraculous health things happen. And that's not my niche. It's just that it's all different doors into what is our relationship with life.
Right.
Because I'm a romantic fool, I respond in a very like whole body, physical, emotional, spiritual way to a romantic partner in a way that I don't engage intellectually. If I have to choose between money and a person, I will always choose the person. So I had to make money a person too, just to let him be part of the narrative, be part of this, part of my life. So yeah, I have coached men, wonderful men. But I do think that my approach, at least to money, is definitely speaks more to women or to more. I've also had coaches in the personal development world not get it at all and make fun of me, which is hysterical.
Really?
Oh, so rude and misogynistic and patronizing. But the thing is, they're not my person, those guys. And well, what's his name? He who shall not be named is making funny of my money honey bunny. At the same time, a woman walking across a hotel lobby is coming up to me saying, "Oh my gosh, are you Morgana Ray, the money honey lady?" Because she's my person.
Yeah. And we all learn and relate to life differently. And so like for me, I had a hard time making that connection until like I came across your work and I was like, oh my gosh. It's interesting because I heard something one time and someone was like, there's no such thing as lack in the universe. There's only what you're not in loving relationship with. And that's right along the lines of what you teach is like being in a loving relationship with money, being in a loving relationship with health and life. And that building that relationship is what really is super important. And I think that, we focus on lack. We're like, oh, I don't have money. I don't have love. But it's like building that relationship, just like you personified money in your mind, which lives inside of you. So building that relationship inside of you is what manifests in our reality.
And we have very real lack experiences. We aren't imagining it. I have a friend who was just rocking it as a college professor with a beautiful apartment on the beach, and then she got sick 4 years ago. And she's been homeless and sick for 4 years. I actually just coached her for the first time a week ago. Her situation is very real. And I think we have to start by honoring whatever the lack or the pain or the victim experience is. Like we can't just skip over that because it needs to be heard and it'll just keep pounding louder to get our attention. So I think it's very important for us as human beings to really care and respect that sometimes things really happen and they aren't your fault and they aren't because you were not high vibing. I think earthquakes really happen. Things really happen. Mm-hmm. And then the question becomes, okay, this horrible thing happened. And when you're ready, what can we do with it? Because I think there's also timing, just like you said, you didn't get it the first time. Yeah. And it's not kind or helpful to push somebody into snapping out of it when they're still like hemorrhaging. So we
Sure,
really,
yeah.
with kindness, when you're ready, if you want this, let me know and I'll do my best. And I
Yeah.
think whatever it is for all human beings on earth, honestly, I think the very act of being able to look at you and say, oh my God, that's so terrible. And I love you. And what can I do? Would you like me to just listen and witness? That can be a game changer for
Oh,
human.
yeah.
And that's the beginning of the shift. We need to start with what is and really air out the monster.
Bringing awareness to it. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is like, one of the things that really helped me during a dark time in my life is bringing awareness, or what people say, bring light to it. And you can't just like act like it's not there. Like you said, the monster, you can't act like it's not there. You have to bring awareness to it and actually look at it.
Yeah. And when I coach somebody through my financial alchemy process, usually it's, digging up the root cause of the money drama, whether the person is on public assistance or a billionaire, because I've coached the extremes. And I'm really digging for below the money, what has ever made this person feel unloved, unworthy, unsafe, or powerless, because those are the big pains of human existence, and we all get our turn with these experiences. And I actually try to magnify it instead of minimize it, because what you're doing is you're creating energy. Like a slingshot. You're building leverage, this pull. The more you pull into the experience that you've had and you just dig into it, you're creating a tension for change that ultimately creates so much tension that it catapults you into where you want to be in a full body experience, in a way where the positive change you want sticks and is really dramatic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that's when we see the clients making millions of dollars and the spontaneous healings. I did it with my own relationship with love in 2012 in August. So we're like approaching the 13-year anniversary of my first date with my husband. In June of 2012, I finally slayed my love monster. I looked at all the reasons, all the way that love had hurt me over the course of my life. Parents, friends, boyfriends, whatever, anything that ever made me feel unlovable, abandoned, that made love hurt and feel dangerous, like I would want to protect it. And I just dug into that and built up such a big monster of this love that wanted to kill me. And I was shocked because I never knew that I felt that way about love. But I went through my own process, and I uncovered the root cause, I personified it, and then I destroyed the monster. And I met my husband 2 months later when I was 45 and never married in my life, had a perfect track record of romantic failure. And we are now married 26 times in 21 countries, heading towards 100 weddings in 100 countries, to each other. 100% his idea.
No, can I ask you a question? I'm so curious because I'm a fangirl of yours. So when you slayed the monster, your love monster, and you personified or like a love honey, how similar was your love honey to your real life honey? I'm curious.
I made the love. This is tricky because it's so much easier to do a money honey.
Oh, okay.
I was aware of, for myself, the love honey, I didn't want to get attached to any idea.
Oh.
So I focused more on making space. I got very, very specific with the money monster, or sorry, the love monster. But on the other side, because I did not want to get too attached. I didn't want the love honey to take up the space of the human honey. I still wanted the human honey. So what I did instead was I just imagined myself being held by this
Oh,
new relationship with love. So I modified it
okay.
for that.
So
So
it wasn't really a person, it was more of a feeling, like a,
it was more like I was focusing on the person holding me. And this is
oh,
very different. Well, different and not so different. When I coach anybody, through the slaying of the monster and the meeting of the honey. First, I always focus on feeling first because I think feeling is way, way, way more important than visual or thoughts because that's very literal. And that's
mhm,
in our head where we second guess and we get insecure and we get controlling. And you know that you don't manifest by controlling.
right.
So I like to go into the feelings that make us feel right with the world, that relax the reptile brain in the back and wake up the frontal lobe, which is our genius zone, and connect us to intuition and just our feeling of being right with the world. So I love to use the feeling of touch and
Mm,
scent. What does the monster smell like? Ugh. What does the honey smell like? Yum, because that's all emotion. And
okay.
and also, what does the person say? And the very,
Mm,
very last thing I will touch on is what does the person look like? And for some people, we don't go there at all. We usually do, but it's to me the least necessary of all the senses.
okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
my my husband is totally cute, and I've actually had once a money honey that looked like him, over the years since, because he is kind of like my safe harbor in the world.
Oh,
If I feel anxious, I crawl into his arms and I feel right again.
oh, wow. That's beautiful. So I'm curious too. You have your book, Financial Alchemy, and that's like over a course of a year, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's a
so
it's a magic book. It's part book and it's part spell casting day by day.
and I want to get more into the spell casting a little later, but one of the things you just came out with a new edition,
Yeah.
and you had some more insights and epiphanies, and I want to learn about that juiciness of the new things that you've come across over the years.
Well, as you evolve and then the book doesn't keep pace, I just woke up one day and I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't fit anymore. And it occurred to me that the 10-year anniversary of the original book was coming up, and it was a good excuse to update things. Because over the last 10 years, my results have just gotten so much bigger, so many more people making such bigger money, way many more millionaires and tens of millionaires, and uh clients falling in love and getting married, especially in later in life, but not only later in life. Like
Yeah.
Gabby was six figures in student loan debt when I coached her, and now she's the CEO of Latino Wall Street and married and has a baby and living in a mansion. And she created all of it herself. So, and that's just one. There are, so many hundreds and hundreds. So I've gotten better, and I say things and I look at things now that I didn't 10 years ago. One thing that's really important to me, and maybe the center of everything I teach, is that change happens at the speed of safety, which means if change isn't happening, something isn't safe yet.
Mm.
And that's why we look for the monster. We're looking for, what are you protecting yourself from? And by the way, when I ask that, I'm not saying it as in any way a criticism. or a judgment.
Hmm.
It's like,
Right.
yay, I want you to be safe. And yay, you for being on your own side and protecting yourself. But this is something you want, and protecting yourself from money is going to be a problem. So, how do we make money safe? First, we find out what isn't. And it's always going to be in experiences of being loved, unworthy, unsafe, or powerless, because that's all money represents. It's invented by human beings as a measure of our love, our value, our right to exist, and our power in the world. So we need to look at where we've been hurt so that we can change that, so we can have a better experience in the world. And the money follows that. That's the weird magical part of it, is what I see over and over again, thousands of times now, is when we make what you want safe, and you've been doing all this work towards what you want for years, and hitting the wall. When you make it safe, the wall comes down, and it's like the abundance of the universe pours in. All that work that you put in all those years pays off. It wasn't wasted. It was just building up, waiting for an opportunity to come in. And really, to tie in what you were saying at the beginning about feminine energy, what I've noticed that I never expected, but I've noticed this over and over again, is when I do this process with women and the monster is slain, and she meets her usually money honey, and he's this handsome, usually guy, not always a guy, sometimes it's a woman. I have a client who is traveling the country right now she had a woman money honey, and she had a woman health honey, and now she has a woman human honey. Yay. I like boys, so I tend to talk, using boys. So what I do see is that when we are protecting ourselves from life because we're financially anxious and we've had our heart broken and we're just in protective mode, we have a lot of shields up. And we can get very armored, sort of like the goddess Athena, the goddess of war, with all of our armor, not soft or romantic, not receptive like Aphrodite, We're like fighting. But when the world becomes safe and we feel loved and we feel held, it's like we can finally relax and just fall
Waiting to exhale.
of our beloved. And that's when money comes in, and that's when love comes in, and the woman just becomes softer. And then for men, when they've slayed their terrible monster and it's really hard to kill them, they've slayed their monster and they meet their honey, their money honey. Their money honey is like, oh my gosh, you saved me. You slayed the monster for me. Let me swoon in your arms. And the guy is like, well, yes, I did. Whether, his honey is male or female. He's like, I see his shoulders puff up, and it's like he's the man he always wanted to be.
Yeah.
So there are those tendencies.
Yeah. So you also, another thing, we only have 10 more minutes, but another thing that you do is like goddess retreats, right? I would love to learn more about that.
Oh my gosh. That's my favorite
That
thing.
sounds so fun.
It is. Well, if I'm going to leave the house to work, I might as well go to Bali. Right? And the first time I went to Bali was in 2011. And I was supposed to have a 3-day live event, how to be a money goddess. I rented the banquet room at a hotel, like really boring banquet room, hotel, live event, like everybody does. And I got invited to Bali, and I had this intuitive hit on January 1st that I was supposed to go to Asia that year. I asked the universe, what wants to happen this year? And she showed me this flash in my mind's eye of going to Asia. And I was like, oh my God, that's so far away. Are you sure? And she said, yes. And I said, how about just an overseas trip? And she says, yes, but Asia. And I was like, well, what about Europe? And she says, you can do that too, but Asia. So when I got invited to Bali, I was like, well, I guess this is it. So I went to Bali. So meanwhile, I'm promoting my live event in LA, shooting all these videos in Bali. You know, hi, it's Morgana living a money goddess life. Join me in October at blah, blah, blah. And I had this moment walking down the street in Ubud on Hanuman, the main road, thinking, oh my God, I am fatter than every woman here, and I've never felt more beautiful in my life. Every woman should experience this. So when I went back and I taught my 3-day event, which is now my Money Goddess Experience Home Study course, 10 hours of video and 8 exercises and 7 goddess archetypes and lots of good stuff. But I did this live event. I knew all my friends. When we do a live event, we offer some kind of year-long mastermind. And I could not think of anything I wanted to do less. I just didn't want to commit myself a year out like that at that point in time. So I got on stage and I just offered the retreat and said, who wants to go to Bali? And I filled my first retreat. And I've been addicted ever since. It's my #1 millionaires maker. I have a highly unprofessional attachment to the women who have gone on this retreat with me. I never, ever, ever take more than 8 at a time. Some of them are actually much smaller. And we just stay in each other's lives. And sometimes they come back and they hire me and we do a Rich Witch retreat, or they join my Coven coaching program, or I just love them forever, you know? And so what's so powerful about it, and here's what's so powerful about it. Women leaders, and this goes back to the feminine thing, are really not supported in this world. And the experience is like being a space alien, because nobody understands you. Your family thinks you should get a regular job. Your husband may admire you, but he doesn't really get it. And your girlfriends don't really understand it, and maybe are a little competitive or jealous. And that can be very, very lonely, especially for brilliant visionary women who see things before other people do. And we need our sisterhood. We really
do.
So what I did to heal my own wounds from being rejected by other little girls growing up is I create this sisterhood of women who are going through the same experience of slaying their money monster. And I coach everyone individually. But when I'm coaching this person, and she is going into that deep place. And by the way, you don't even have to say what your root cause is. I had a woman from Kazakhstan who didn't speak English. I was able to coach her anyway. I had a client from Canada who couldn't speak what the original event was. Didn't matter. I can follow the energy. And their monsters were slayed and they had their money honeys and they had the results afterwards. But what happens is when a woman is ready to kill her monster, and I'm thinking of one woman at one retreat right now where she decided to stab her monster. I mean, you can kill it anyway. It's your imagination. You can blow it up with an atom bomb if that, or a volcano, or whatever you want. But she wanted a knife. She wanted to get close. She wanted a knife, and she grabbed a knife, and she had this really, really terrible monster of lifetime pain. Saw out of the corner of my eye every other woman in the circle make a fist and grab a knife. And I realized in that moment that monster didn't have a chance, no matter how big it was, whether it was as big as the universe, it had no chance, because every woman there was going to make sure that monster died and that sister was liberated. Because they went through the process every time we did it. And sometimes when you're not on the hot seat, you can safely discover things that you weren't aware of before. And gently just go even deeper and have a better money honey relationship on the other side. So yeah, that's my favorite thing. And I'm going back in May of 2024.
Okay. Wow. That was so beautiful. I love the sisterhood. It just sounds and feels the way that you explain it. It feels just incredible. But we only have about 3 more minutes. But I wanted to allow you to share your stuff and where people can find you. You're on Instagram, you have your website. Want to share that?
I would say the best place to find me is my website. It is the mothership. It has everything. My website is morganaray.com. It's just, you can see my name. I'm sure the link will be in the show notes. You have my 4-part Money Magnetic video series for free, which covers some things we didn't cover here, and we covered some things here that aren't covered there. You have my Money Love Quiz, which is a great place to start. And based on your responses, I will make recommendations what I think your next step should be. And I always include free stuff. And my blog has decades and hundreds of videos and articles. So any question you have about attracting money, slaying your monster, manifesting abundance and prosperity, anything like that, becoming a money goddess, just, type in the keywords and you will find something that I have answered over the years. And also, if you want to coach with me, that's where you can fill out an application and reach out to me, and I read every application and I get back to you. And if I'm not taking a client, I will make another recommendation.
Well, thank you so much for this. I was looking forward to this interview. I didn't even want to call it an interview because that sounds so stuffy to me. But this conversation,
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it. I was like, oh my gosh, because you changed my life. Like, that's so amazing. And I love that when you can make those connections. And so hopefully you all out there, this made some connection for you, and definitely look at her social media. She's on Instagram. I follow her on Instagram as well. Visit her website. And thank you so much, Morgana. I really appreciate this. And we'll check you guys in the next video.
It was
Peace.
my pleasure. Thank you, Amber.